and Interdisciplinary Studies and Global Education Assistant Professor. Thanks for giving us your time this morning.
Thank you so much.
From an educator's point of view, how did you view this debate?
Well, I thought the debate was a tremendous success. It was really a tale of two debates, if you will. I felt like last night was very different from September the 29th. Rather than the constant interruptions, there was a lot more discussion on policy issues. You know, the first debate was so chaotic, and I had a lot of difficulty taking notes last night. I compiled 3 pages of notes that covered 11 major topics, from COVID to foreign policy, to fossil fuels, to immigration, to race relations, and to healthcare. So, you know, after the first debate, many questioned, including our students, whether debates were beneficial to the electoral process. And I think last night's debate helped to restore our faith in this format as an effective way for voters to compare candidates' positions. After the debate, and we've heard from some of your listeners, both sides have predictably cited falsehoods and distorted facts of the opposing candidate. But this felt more like a traditional debate, and whether or not it will persuade undecided voters is really yet to be determined, especially when 50 million people have already decided and have already voted. But to quote one of my favorite Broadway shows, the musical 1776, there's a scene where the representative from Rhode Island, Stephen Hopkins, is confronted with a vote about whether to debate the issue of independence. And so he says, "I've never seen, heard, nor smelled an issue that wasn't so dangerous it couldn't be talked about." So while this quotable quote from the musical 1776 wasn't about presidential debates, I think we do have to talk about important issues. We do have to have debates, and we have to do so in a respectful way and with an open mind. And as my fellow historian and friend John Meacham said, we should open our arms rather than clench our fists.
You teach a class called Democracy, Media, and the Public Sphere. Could you explain the goal of the course and particularly how it relates to the campaign season?
Sure. I had the great fortune last year to teach in the same classroom with Professor Jennifer Duck. And Jennifer Duck spent over 17 years in the world of media and journalism, going all the way back to 2008 and being a big part of the campaign between Senator McCain and then Senator Obama, which of course had the town hall debate at Belmont's first debate and the first presidential debate held in Tennessee. And so she would be finishing her class and I would be starting my class, and we started having conversations, and the idea for this class grew from there. And so we are teaching this fall class called Democracy, Media, and the Public Sphere. And we frame this course in a way that really navigates the evolution of politics and media, but we do it through a historical lens. And we want students to understand the roles of the press and democracy, civic life, the public sphere, but to understand the intersections between those issues as well. You know, Gen Z has grown up in a very different world from the rest of us. They have so much information coming at them all the time, and they have platforms that compete for their attention and for their time. So it's really a new world in terms of information literacy, and we're helping them to seek truth and helping them to have the tools to navigate and engage in this current civic life.
So what specific tools would you advise, especially to students who are sifting through all this information?
Well, you know, I often say that one of the key differences is if you think about a newspaper, you have a headline story on page 1 and you have an op-ed on page 6. For them, as the news is coming into their phones, and frankly, a lot of us get our news that way, it's not only coming in through their phone, but it's also coming in through a third party. And so they have a much harder time being able to recognize the hierarchy of information, of what is hard news, what is soft news, and what is opinion. And so we're teaching them the tools of how to best do this and to look through this information and to know what's true and to know what's opinion. And to also realize that these third-party platforms, a phrase that we often use is, if you are not buying the product, then you are the product. And quite often these social media platforms, you know, they're competing for our attention and our time.
How engaged do you think students are for this year's election, particularly as you see what's happening there at Belmont?
Well, you know, Belmont President Bob Fisher said, we all want to do our part to serve the country through this event and to be the kinds of citizens that our students emulate. And I would just echo his words. You know, we pride ourselves here at Belmont on sharing a sense of community without shying away from difficult conversations. And we talk to each other and learn with and from each other with this same ethos. So, you know, the university's faculty and staff, and frankly, students have been preparing for this event for over a year. This semester, we've offered a huge slate of online events called Ideas for America, where we've had panels and concerts and lectures, virtually, of course. And so countless hours have been invested, and I imagine also some blood, sweat, and tears were shed as well. But we realize just how significant this moment is, not just for the debate and not just for Belmont, but for the future of our nation. And I thought last night was a great success for our students, for our university, for the country. And as President Fisher said, I think that the debate did in fact serve the country.
This is Mary Ellen Pethel of Belmont University. She is an interdisciplinary studies and global education assistant professor here to talk about her coursework and how it relates to these debates and politics. And we thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much.
To our callers lined up waiting for us, thanks for waiting. Donna in Washington State, an undecided